it was kind of like, all right, there's another bag. And I spend enough money in bags to be doing all right, there's another bag sitting on the shelf. No. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. And as we're coming to the end of 2023, it's time to reflect and let's have a look at my worst purchases for 2023. Now, I'm glad to say there aren't that many on this list. I think there are 6. This year I did buy quite a few expensive bags, but I didn't spend a lot of money on different SLGs or pouches or duplicates of things. And I think that has worked well for me. But there are a few stonkers on this list that really didn't work and were my worst purchases for 2023. Let's get started. And number 1, I am disgusted at myself for. Disgusted because I absolutely love these, but I've never ever worn them. And it is, even when I pick them up and look at them in the viewfinder, I can't believe I'm saying this because they're fabulous. But I've never worn them. And I bought these, strictly speaking, at the very end of 2022, but I've had them for the full 2023 and I've never worn them. And there are these quite frankly fabulous Dior brogues, and I can still picture in my head how I will wear these, the outfits I will put together for them. It's a vibe, it's a look, and I've never done it. I've never actually worn them. And I don't know if it's because I left them up here in this room and I maybe kind of forgot about them, which is not a good sign in itself, is not a good sign. Or, I don't know. I don't know if I've just never put the outfit together, but I've never ever worn them. And these are Dior, so they're not inexpensive. They've got the cool B on the back with the CD. They're fab. They're very me. These with a particular shaped black trouser, a loose white dress shirt with a black I can see it. I can see it. But I've just never worn them, and that has to make these one of my worst purchases because these are a lot of money to have never been on my feet. Number 2 is another purchase that actually came at the end of 2022 but will class as having it for 2023, and it was the Louis Vuitton loop bag. This bag drove me crazy. I have a video on my channel about why this is so annoying, and it's a review of the loop bag, so if you're interested in the loop bag I would check that out because it's quite brittle, but it's very honest if you're looking at that bag. Mine was in the black denim, and I don't know if that's why it was so annoying because I have been told that the monogram canvas is a lot easier to use and didn't have the same frustrations. But man, that bag drove me nuts. And I bought that bag, that was my Christmas bag from last year, and I used it once for a very, very short period of time, and it drove me that nuts on the time that I used it, that was it. I'm not using that bag again because I don't enjoy it. I don't like using it. It's annoying me. And I know I've got mini capucines before when you pointed out, I know I've got mini capucines over there that also annoy me when I use them, but I love them so much. I love the look of them so much that I get over that. But with the Louis Vuitton loop bag, I didn't get over it. It just drove me mental and I just didn't like it. I didn't like using it. And it was without a doubt one of the worst purchases this year. I know it came at the end of last year, but I bought that at the Louis Vuitton Christmas event last year. I wanted to love that bag. I really liked the black denim. I really liked the look of it with my black leather jacket. But that's as far as it went. It never left really the house with that because as much as it looked really, really good with that black leather look, it just annoyed me too much and I couldn't. And that bag has been sold and is now with a much more loving home than I ever could provide. So happily moved on, but definitely a bad purchase. Number 3, and this pains me because I love the colour of this so much. And every time I talk about this bag, I know that you guys come into the comment box and say, no, and you could style it so easily and it goes with all these colours. And I know it does. I just haven't really used this bag, and I have said in a few videos it's because I find the bright yellow difficult to style, but it does go with a grey. I have a grey oversized pinstripe suit that it would go with perfectly, but I generally pick up the Birkin wherever it is to wear with that, or a pink bag, or I wear my black classic flap with that. If I'm going to a work meeting, I would wear that crossbody. I just very rarely pick this up, and I think it's probably getting into this video as a worst purchase because these are expensive, and I used this bag once maybe. Like that's nuts for the amount of money these are, and I love the saddle. I have a burgundy saddle somewhere. I absolutely love it, I just find this one I don't reach for, and I think I find it hard to style. I don't think it's just that though. I think if I loved this bag enough and loved the colour, I probably would make the effort to style it with those colours that, as you say, it would work with. But I just don't, and I think this is probably one of my worst purchases just for how little this is used. And I loved the colour and got caught up in the colour, but I didn't think through how I would wear the colour or integrate the colour into my wardrobe, and that's a rookie mistake, but I didn't do it, and now this sits here and is very rarely worn. If I want a yellow look, I generally go for this colour block bag over here, and this one gets left, and yeah, not a great buy. Not a great buy. Number 4 is another bag that thankfully I no longer have, and it was the YSL June box bag. I was intrigued by this bag. I have a video on the unboxing of this bag and how it was a total fail, and I will link that video down below in the description box if you're interested in checking that out. I thought this was quirky and cool. I liked the box shape of it. I liked the way the flap went over it. I liked the YSL logo on it. I liked the quilting. I got the bag and mine was probably either had been returned or was a store version. It was dented, it was marked. So the version of it was never going to be the one because it was going to go back for the quality control issues with the version that I received. But even the bag I was really disappointed in. I remember getting the bag thinking I've been so excited about this, waiting for this, trying it on and being really disappointed in it. I felt very underwhelmed with it. It was kind of like, all right, there's another bag. I spend enough money in bags to be doing all right, there's another bag sitting on the shelf that, no. So it had to go back, and thankfully I figured that out right away, and there was a returns period for that one. I hadn't bought that from a consignor and I was able to return it and get my money back. So that didn't work out as a mistake because I was able to return it right away, but as a purchase, definitely one of my worst, because when I looked at that bag on, I just thought, what are you doing? It just didn't work for me, and I see it. I think it's Karen Britchick has it, and when she styles it, I think it looks fabulous. But for me, it just left me very meh. Number 5, and this is something that I really, really wanted to love because I thought it was so cool, and I will link the unboxing video down below. There's footage in that, which I don't think I have any more of trying this on, and it was the Mulberry Axel Arigato collaboration jacket, the bomber jacket. I loved this. This looked, on the website, in the publicity shots, this looked so cool. But when I put it on, it swamped me. It was too big. It just didn't do anything for me. It really didn't flatter me. And it just was a style that I really wanted to work, because I have a Louis Vuitton bomber jacket, the one with the red leather sleeves, which I've had for years and love and have got so much wear out of. So I thought this would work the same. But the oversized nature of it, even in the smaller size, it just didn't work for me. It made me look like I was wearing clothes that were too big rather than wearing an oversized look jacket. And I wanted to love it. I loved the print down it. I loved the way the Mulberry and the Axel had been done together. I thought it was cool, but it just didn't work for me. And in hindsight, I bought that because I loved the idea of it, and I loved the idea of how it would fit. If I'd actually looked at that and considered the size and everything, because I'm 5'1" and curvy, and you need to be careful at that size that things don't look out of proportion, but not in a good way, and it just looked like that. It was a really bad purchase. It was never really going to work for me, and it just looked, when I tried it on, I was trying to convince myself because I loved it, and I was trying to talk myself into it and talk you into it, and oh, but isn't it cool? But it didn't work. And luckily it was another one that was within the returns period, so I was able to return that bag, or that jacket, sorry, and get my money back. So it's not a luxury mistake or regret, because I was able to get my money back for it, but definitely one of my worst purchases. A lot of money, but just didn't work out and just looked off on me, and it was a regret that it didn't look better. But I had to go with the actual jacket, and rather than how I imagined the jacket would look, and it had to go back. Number 6, we're not going to talk about this very long because we've talked about this at length, and it was the green Fendi midi baguette. This is the baguette that I bought and then realised that I had bought kind of on a whim. And although I did really love the colour, I didn't love that bag enough, and I sold it really quickly after to somebody who'd been trying to get it and couldn't get that colour in their country, so that worked out well. But that bag has got to take the biscuit as the worst purchase of 2023 because of, not that it was left here, it was sold on really easily, but it led me to so much soul searching, and it led me to feel really guilty about my shopping habits and how I had become so caught up in the frenzy and the blur of just buy, 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 new bag on the bench, and that's not what I want. I want to love and enjoy my bags. And I just felt really guilty about that bag. And even though it was a mistake, and so many of you have told me in other videos, it was a mistake, forget about it, you sold it on, that's fine, that's what you're meant to do, that's not a bad thing. It led me to feeling quite introspective about it and doing quite a lot of soul searching and feeling quite bad about how I was able to buy something at that price so flippantly when I really couldn't have loved it enough if I was able to sell it on so much. And I think what makes this the worst purchase of 2023 was how it made me feel. How it made me feel buying it. How it made me feel the guilt and the you've lost the run of yourself and you're losing yourself and you're buying things too easily and you're not really thinking about it, and this is not how you normally manage your money, and you got caught up on it and caught up in the buzz and caught up on unboxing, and just it made me face a mirror. And it probably made me face a mirror and I'm laughing because Meredith will be laughing at how my accent says mirror, but there you go. It made me look at myself in the mirror and face myself as to where I had got to and what I had become. And I think that probably sounds dramatic, but in my mind at the time, it's how I was feeling. And it did get sold on really easily, but that made me very uncomfortable. And I think that is probably what led this to being such a bad purchase, because it shouldn't have been. You know, it came, it didn't work out, I sold it. That's not the end of the world. It was how it made me feel about my shopping at the time and where I was at. And it was uncomfortable. And quite often when you have to face challenging things about yourself, or things you don't really want to face, or things that you've been trying to hide from yourself, it is uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable to face parts of ourselves that we're not entirely happy with, or that we're not entirely happy with where they are at that moment. And that's why this one is the worst purchase, because of how it made me feel and the reflection on it. Now, we've moved past that, but we are at the end of the year and we're reflecting and rounding up and all of that is happening. So yeah, not a good one. And I think that's it. I think those are the 6 worst purchases of 2023. I'm glad I didn't buy lots of pouches or SLGs or small things that I buy on a whim and I buy because they look pretty, but I don't need, because I don't need any more pouches, or I don't have the use for any more SLGs. So this has probably kept this list quite short. And yes, I've made some mistakes. Luckily, a lot of them have been reconciled, they've been sold on, or were able to be returned. There's only 2 still here. The brogues I'm not giving up on because I love them and they're cool, and I just have to bring them downstairs to my actual dressing room and make the effort to style them and wear them because they're cool, they're fab. I need to do that. So that's not really going to give up on that one. The yellow saddlebag, I've tried. I think it's maybe time to make a decision about that. But the rest are no longer here and have moved on or been returned. So it's not the worst list in the world. I have definitely sat here and made this video at times when there's been a whole lot worse. And there's been a whole lot more regrets and a whole lot more worse purchases that didn't work out. And hopefully that means that I'm growing and learning myself, blah, blah, blah. And that we're getting to the point where I'm making less mistakes. I hope this has been interesting and entertaining at my expense. I hope you have enjoyed this little list. If you have, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you're not done with me yet, I'm going to leave another video for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.